Youth Council, the country is yet to have a solid national youth bill to support the implementation of key youth policies. Records continuously show high rate of unemployment amongst the youth, and this has become an albatross around the neck of government. Among the duties of the national youth is to register youth groups and associations throughout the country to build reliable data for effective programming. It provides out-of-school youth, especially the deprived, with skills training through the Youth Leadership and Skills Training Institutes. It also organizes youth programs to provide them with the best information to enable them to make informed choices on health, career, while sensitizing them on governance and civic responsibilities as well as morality. So we've been joined in the studios by Mubaruk, who is the national coordinator for the National Youth Authority. Good afternoon, Ras, and many thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much indeed, and I'm glad you did the correction about our name. We are no longer National Youth Council. We are now National Youth Authority. So thank you very much for that.
All right. Okay. So thank you very much too. Youth unemployment remains a major challenge. How is your what is your outfit doing to resolve this? And do you even have any data on youth unemployment?
Well, it is a huge challenge, a huge headache to a lot of people, and it should be rightly so to all government agencies, to all Ghanaians, and so on and so forth. I mean, if you look at the issue of unemployment, it also comes with health-related issues. When someone is depressed about unemployment, it's likely the person could end up in a mental hospital. Unemployment comes with issues of national security threats and so on and so forth. So that is a huge headache to all of us. And at the National Youth Authority, we have been putting in place the building blocks that would ensure that we are facilitating youth development in our country. Currently, as I speak to you, we have just validated the implementation plan for the National Youth Policy. Now, the implementation plan is crucial to the policy because inherent in the implementation plan are guidelines, timelines, and budgets on how much needs to be spent on youth development in the country.
And how are you going to ensure this is not going to remain in paper?
I can assure you. We launched the National Youth Policy in 2010, and we have just validated this implementation plan. Now with this, the media can hold us to some of the commitments that we have made. The media can hold ministries, departments, and agencies to some of the commitments that they have made. And when we do launch this one next month, it will be made available to all Ghanaians so that you could judge us by some of the commitments that have been made in addressing the challenges of young people in our country. Some very positive things have been done by successive governments. This current government has showed a lot of commitment. We are currently the 34th country in Africa to ratify the African Youth Charter. It's an expression of our commitment towards addressing the issues. And we are encouraging Ghanaians that it is important for us to all join hands so that we can help the youth become job givers and not job seekers. And we can do this by encouraging them to become entrepreneurs. And that is why I feel extremely encouraged by government's Youth Entrepreneurship Development Fund, which will be launched sometime this month. Now, the danger with the Entrepreneurship Development Fund is that some of our contemporaries, some of our young men and women who may have graduated from schools do not have the ability to put forward exciting and mature proposals. So on our part at the National Youth Authority, what we are instituting is training programs to young graduates, starting with 4 regions in the country, where we teach graduates on how to, for instance, even do a proper CV, how to write proposals for funding, because there's a lot of money sitting out there, that we can tap into for youth development. But the youth need to be nudged into some of these areas, into where they can actually submit proposals and get the funds. Would you believe that agencies like the UNFP and UNAIDS actually cut their budgets for this year because we are not accessing the funds? And they're not going to come to you and say, we have some money lying there, come and access it. So it's important that we give the young people the skills, the requisite training that would help them in accessing some of these opportunities across the country. But let's not be oblivious to the challenges facing people who don't even have the benefit of education. Because mostly when we talk about youth unemployment, the focus is on graduate. But we will be making a huge mistake and a disservice to our countrymen and women if we lose focus on our brothers and sisters who have had the misfortune of not finishing SHS or even going to school at all. And that is why at the Youth Leadership and Skills Training Institutes, we are focusing on vocational training. We're teaching people sustainable things that they can rely on and help themselves. It's not sustainable if you're selling ice water in the streets, but if you learned how to become a welder, how to become a farmer, how to become a mechanic, I mean, that would go a long way to alleviating poverty and suffering. And let me make this point, that we have even gone further to engage development partners, including some of the embassies and high commissions in the country. I've had discussions with the German ambassador to Ghana, where we have looked at supporting our youth leadership and skills training institutes in the area of auto mechanics. Now, you would know that a lot of the vehicles that are coming out today are electronic, computerized. And it's not all of our mechanics who are well trained to handle some of these vehicles. So it's important that we are equipping young people to meet the challenges of the 21st century. And these are some of the things
But do you have data on this category of youth to know those who haven't been educated and what they can benefit those who have been educated? Because currently we try to find data on youth unemployment and it was very difficult for us. So we want to know what the NYA is doing as far as youth.
We have engaged the Ghana Statistical Service, and we have given, at the National Youth Authority, we've given ourselves a target of 1 year, that by this time next year we would have conducted some research into youth unemployment in Ghana. We would have identified how many young Ghanaians are men who are unemployed, how many are women, how many are skilled, how many are unskilled, how many are even physically challenged, who have special needs, because some jobs may be available, but they may not be the appropriate jobs for people who have special needs. So you need to group and identify all of these things, and we have begun the processes of getting the data, and hopefully by next year I trust that the nation would actually be getting a lot of data from us at the National Youth Authority on some of these things.
Right. So to the National Youth Bill now, it hasn't been passed. Is it affecting your work in any way?
Well, it's affecting our work insofar as, I mean, the legal document that brought the NYA into existence is 40 years old. I mean, times have changed. A lot of things have changed, that it is important that we look at the youth bill again, pass it quickly so that we get supported, because currently we are the only institution in Ghana that is established by law, Decree 241 in 1974, thanks to General Ike Achampong. But after 1974, it's not been amended, it's not been changed, it is still the way it is. And that is why it has become extremely important for young people that they are eager to see the passing of the National Youth Bill. Currently is before Cabinet. It will come back to Parliament. The last time our MPs, NDC, MPP and minority MPs in Parliament let the young people down. This time, when it comes back to Parliament, we entreat them to take this youth bill seriously. We entreat them to speed up the passing of the bill so that we can get all the legal backings, if you like, and be able to execute the kinds of things and work that we are embarking on. But we can't do the work without the support of the media. We can't do it without the support of civil society groups, our development partners, and so on and so forth. Because more often when we talk about unemployment or issues facing young people, everybody's focused on government. Yes, indeed, government has a role to play. Government would have to facilitate some amount of the work, but it will require industry players as well. For instance, what are we doing, as private industry players, to make it easier for young people to gain apprenticeship in our respective places of work? Because when young people do go looking for jobs, they are asked about work experience. Now, how do you come about work experience if you've never worked in your life? So we are engaging all of these players to make sure that we have the right building blocks in place that will make it easier, because recruitment practices also hamper the amount of jobs that are available for young people. Currently in our country, with this issue of no work experience, no job, and no job, no work experience issue,
sure.
it is important that we all agree that, look, young people may not have the work experience,
Sure.
but where they lack in experience, they make up for in energy and creativity. And it's just important that sometimes we give them an opportunity to contribute their quota of knowledge or expertise to building their country. And I would love to see industry players relaxing on some of these recruitment practices. That would make it easier. Another challenge we are facing in our country is the fact that there are more and more older people, there are more and more younger people graduating from institutions than there are older people retiring. So we need to expand our capacity to create jobs, and when we're able to do these things, I'm sure would be good to go as a country.
Right. We'll be talking more about this, but before that, do you think the delay signifies that governments and the lawmakers are not interested about the youth, the delay of the passage of the bill, the National Youth
Well,
Bill?
government did its best, its bit in the last parliament, and when you're putting a bill forward in parliament and it doesn't go through, you have to start the process all over again in the next parliament, and that is why it's gone back to cabinet, and shortly it will come back to parliament. But we can only entreat and appeal to our MPs to see the seriousness of not ratifying or not getting the youth bill passed, because as I mentioned, unemployment and issues facing young people come with health challenges. It poses a national security threat on all of us, and that when these people are not engaged, obviously the devil is going to keep them busy, and we don't want a situation where young people are seizing toilets and engaged in wanton destruction of public property. And that is a more important reason why members of parliament would have to take these issues very seriously in their respective work on the floor of the House.
A lot of the youth have lost hope currently.
They should not lose hope.
You are the coordinator. What would you tell them?
Let me make this point, that young people have every right, every reason to be cynical about the measures that are being put in place. But I would encourage them to be hopeful. I'm a young person. I'm the youngest to have been appointed as national coordinator of the National Youth Authority. I feel their pain. With their support and collectively, we can make a huge difference. So we are giving them a lot of hope with this implementation plan. Because if you just take a cursory look at the plan, you would see that we have made under, for instance, developing entrepreneurship skills, we have a portion where we have indicated exactly what we want to do, how long it's going to take, and how much it's going to cost.
All right.
So this document would be available on our website. It will be available to our friends in the media,
hope for the youth,
and then you can hold us to it. But I can assure them, as long as I sit in that seat as well, we would keep MDAs, ministries, departments and agencies on their toes to take youth issues seriously.
Thank you very much, Ras Mubaruk, National Youth Coordinator. Do you still love reggae?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You've been listening to Ras Mubaruk, and he says there's hope for the youth as we discuss the National Youth Policy, which is in Cabinet and will go to Parliament for it to be passed into law.